The day my parents froze access to my $520,000 trust fund, they thought they had won. They stood in my lawyer's office wearing smug smiles, convinced they had outsmarted me. What they didn't know was that I spent the last 12 years investigating financial fraud for a living. And the document they used to steal control of my money contained a mistake so devastating it would eventually destroy everything they had. My name is Ava Mitchell, and this is the story of how my own parents forged a power of attorney to seize my trust fund, and accidentally handed a fraud investigator the easiest case of her career. Growing up, my parents loved control. Everything had to happen their way. What I wore. Who I dated. Where I went to college. Even as an adult, they treated me like a child. The problem was that I wasn't easy to control. I asked questions. I challenged unfair decisions. I refused to blindly obey. My younger brother, Ethan, was the opposite. He never argued. Never disagreed. Never challenged them. As a result, he became the favorite. For years I tried to ignore it. I convinced myself I was imagining things. Then my grandmother passed away. And everything changed. My grandmother had always been my biggest supporter. She believed in independence. She believed women should control their own futures. Most importantly, she understood exactly how my parents operated. Before she died, she established a trust fund for me. Over time, investments increased its value to approximately $520,000. The trust wasn't designed to make me rich. It was designed to protect me. At least that's what Grandma intended. The moment my parents learned about it, they became obsessed. At first it seemed harmless. Little comments. Little suggestions. You should let us help manage it. You don't understand investing. We know what's best. I politely refused every time. The conversations gradually became arguments. Then the pressure increased. One evening my mother showed up at my apartment. She didn't even sit down before getting to the point. Ethan needs help. I already knew where this was heading. He always needs help. Her face tightened. That's your brother. I crossed my arms. And that's my trust. She looked offended. You've become selfish. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I had heard those words my entire life. Whenever I said no. Whenever I established boundaries. Whenever I refused to sacrifice my future for someone else's mistakes. Selfish. That was their favorite word. Months passed. The pressure never stopped. Apparently Ethan's business was struggling. Again. Apparently he needed another financial rescue. Again. Apparently my trust fund was the perfect solution. Again. I refused. Again. Then came the phone call that changed everything. A representative from the trust management company contacted me. His voice sounded nervous. Ms. Mitchell, we've received legal documents granting power of attorney over your trust. I nearly dropped my coffee. What? The representative hesitated. The paperwork appears to authorize your parents to act on your behalf. My heart stopped. I never signed such a document. Not ever. Something felt terribly wrong. I requested copies immediately. The moment I saw the paperwork, I felt sick. My signature appeared on every page. The problem? It wasn't my signature. Not even close. Someone had attempted to copy it. Poorly. Very poorly. I sat frozen at my desk, trying to process what I was seeing. Then my phone rang. It was my mother. The timing couldn't have been a coincidence. Ava, don't overreact. My stomach dropped. She knew. Before I even spoke, she knew. Excuse me? We were only trying to help. The room went silent. My own mother had basically confessed. I ended the call immediately. Then I did what I had spent 12 years doing professionally. I started an investigation. Most people panic when fraud happens. I become calm, methodical, focused. Because fraud leaves footprints. And this fraud left footprints everywhere. The first thing I discovered shocked me. The power of attorney wasn't just forged. It was notarized. That meant someone had officially witnessed a signature I never made. Either the notary was incompetent or involved. Neither possibility was good. The deeper I dug, the worse things became. Metadata from the documents revealed inconsistencies. Witness signatures didn't match recorded schedules. Dates conflicted with travel records. Then I uncovered the biggest mistake of all. The forged power of attorney claimed I signed the paperwork in Chicago, on a date when I was speaking at a fraud conference in Seattle, in front of 400 witnesses. The fraud literally came with an alibi. I almost laughed. Professionally, it was one of the sloppiest schemes I had ever seen. Emotionally, it devastated me. Because this wasn't some stranger. This wasn't a criminal organization. This was my family. The people who were supposed to protect me. I spent several nights crying. Not because I feared losing the money. The trust company had frozen everything pending investigation. I cried because I finally understood something painful. My parents didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as an asset. A resource. A financial backup plan. And that realization hurt more than any forged signature. Then came the first major twist. During the investigation, the trust company's attorneys uncovered previous attempts to access trust assets. Unauthorized inquiries. Informal requests. Pressure campaigns. My parents had apparently been trying to gain control for years. The forged document wasn't their first attempt. It was simply the most desperate. Then another bombshell arrived. The notary agreed to cooperate. And what she revealed stunned everyone. According to her statement, my father personally delivered the documents. He claimed I couldn't attend due to work. He insisted everything was legitimate. Most importantly, he paid extra to expedite the process. The notary admitted she skipped proper verification procedures. That single decision would cost her license. But it also exposed my parents completely. At that point, I had enough evidence to pursue civil action. Possibly criminal action. Everyone expected me to move forward immediately. Instead, I waited. Because I wanted the full truth. And eventually, I got it. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. My brother Ethan. One night he called me. His voice sounded terrified. "We need to talk." I wasn't interested. Then he said something that changed everything. "They did this because of me." My heart sank. We met the next morning. Ethan looked exhausted. Ashamed. Broken. And for the first time in years, completely honest. Apparently his business wasn't struggling. It was collapsing. He had accumulated massive debts. Far worse than anyone realized. My parents secretly guaranteed several loans. If his company failed, they would lose nearly everything. Their savings. Their retirement. Their house. Everything. The trust wasn't about helping Ethan anymore. It was about saving themselves. Suddenly the entire situation made sense. The pressure. The manipulation. The desperation. The forgery. They weren't acting out of love. They were acting out of fear. But fear doesn't excuse fraud. A week later, I arranged a meeting. My parents arrived confident. Probably assuming they could talk their way out of trouble. The moment they entered the conference room, they realized they were wrong. Lawyers sat on one side of the table. Investigators sat on the other. Copies of evidence covered every surface. Neither parent smiled anymore. I looked directly at them. "Tell me the truth." Silence. My father stared at the table. My mother started crying. For nearly an hour they denied everything. Then I presented the final piece of evidence. A recorded voicemail. My mother's voice. Once we gain access to the trust, everything will be fine. The room became silent. Completely silent. Their fight was over. My father lowered his head. My mother sobbed. And finally, they confessed. The betrayal hurt. But strangely, the confession brought peace. Because for the first time, nobody was pretending anymore. No lies. No manipulation. No excuses. Just truth. Then came the biggest twist of all. During financial discovery proceedings, another secret surfaced. My grandmother had anticipated this exact scenario. Years before her death, she created a hidden amendment. If anyone attempted to fraudulently seize trust assets, additional investment accounts would automatically transfer to me. Accounts nobody knew existed. Not even my parents. The value? Nearly $800,000. When the lawyers revealed it, I was speechless. My parents looked physically ill. Their greed had triggered the very protection mechanism Grandma designed. The woman they underestimated had outsmarted them years earlier. The consequences arrived quickly. My parents faced lawsuits. The notary lost her commission. Ethan's business filed for bankruptcy. The trust remained protected. And the inheritance they desperately wanted became permanently unreachable. But the greatest karma wasn't financial. It was emotional. For years my parents viewed me as the difficult daughter. The stubborn daughter. The selfish daughter. Now everyone saw the truth. I wasn't difficult. I simply refused to be exploited. Months later, I visited my grandmother's grave. I brought fresh flowers. And I told her everything. The investigation. The confession. The hidden amendment. The outcome. A soft breeze moved through the cemetery. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Because Grandma understood something my parents never did. Money can be stolen. Signatures can be forged. Trust can be broken. But integrity is much harder to take away. My parents forged a power of attorney to freeze my $520,000 trust. They thought they were taking control of my future. Instead, they exposed themselves. Lost everything they were trying to protect. And proved exactly why my grandmother trusted me instead of them. In the end, the fraud investigator didn't just solve another case. She survived one. And the criminals weren't strangers. They were family.